Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. We are previewing the second T20 international between India and West Indies that will be played at Warner Park in Basseterre today. Nikhil Narayan's here with me, but what will India look to do? Will they continue with the winning combination, or will the experimentation that we've seen with this Indian team continue today as well? That's the question. Will Surya Yadav open yet again? Will they go back to Rishabh Pant to open? Remember, India has already seen 7 openers so far this year that have played in the T20 international. So a lot of questions. Also, Dinesh Karthik, how good was he in the last match? And is this the series where he will be able to solidify his place in that World Cup squad? So we'll discuss all of that, Nikhil. But let's just first begin with what we can expect from this Indian team. In the second ODI, first one emphatically won. Didn't need to do much. Dinesh Karthik finished well and the spinners did the job. The pitch here is slightly different and one does see an extra seamer coming back in.
Absolutely. I think the experiments will continue for India. Experiments will continue. I think that is what we will see. We were surprised to see Surya Yadav opening with Rohit Sharma. So that is the biggest question in everyone's mind. Who is going to open with Rohit Sharma? Are they going back to Rishabh Pant, as some reports are suggesting? Or will Surya Kumar continue? Which makes no sense whatsoever, because he is your premier batsman who has made the number 4 position his own. So why would you experiment with him? So, that is the main question. Who will experiment? Will they go back to Ishan Kishan? So apart from that, I think India will continue to experiment even in their bowling lineup. Arshtiv Singh was brilliant, so he should continue. And why not? I mean, this is the last series, Meha, where India can choose their best 15, their best 11 for the Asia Cup and the World T20. So they need to sort of, although they are going for a victory, but they need to sort of choose their best combination possible in this series.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about that best combination. Who will make that playing 11 for today? And I think one question also that needs to be asked is about the top 3. We've spoken about this. Nikhil and I have spoken about this, how India has depended on their top 3 in the past. But now what seems to be happening is that it's your middle order that's putting their hand up and saying, hey, we're there too. Of course, led by Surya Yadav, who's in the form of his life. And then we've seen what Dinesh Karthik also did, Nikhil. But that's a change. Having said that, it was good to see Rohit Sharma score some runs. It was needed. He's been struggling as well. And sometimes, because everybody is so focused on Virat Kohli not doing well, what Rohit Sharma has been doing, that's gone unnoticed. But he hasn't played well. It was good that he scored runs in the last match, and this would give the team as a whole a lot of confidence.
Absolutely, and he scored runs at a fluent rate on a pitch which was assisting spinners. So, it was a very good innings, timely knock by Rohit Sharma, and a very, a much needed knock for him, because he hasn't done well in 2022 with the bat at all. I mean, perhaps this was his first high impact knock in the format this season. Also, we saw that he struggled for Mumbai Indians this year in the IPL. He has his worst IPL in terms of average and strike rate. So it was a very good performance by Rohit. It's very important for Rohit to fire. We all know what he did in the 2019 World Cup in England, where he scored those record 5 centuries. So Rohit Sharma is very important at the top of the order, given that India is hell-bent on playing Virat Kohli at number 3, who continues to be out of form.
Okay, so who should open with Rohit? That's one big question we've been asking, and you must have seen that about how Rishabh Pant was given opportunity just twice in England, didn't do much, but then he was brought back to number 4. Sky was made to open. But now let's talk about Dinesh Karthik. Nikhil and I also, before the series began, spoke about how Dinesh Karthik and the impact that he had on RCB in the IPL. The way he batted in the IPL was very different from what he did in the T20 internationals. He did that against South Africa as well. I remember there were high impact knocks, but to be able to do it as consistently, we weren't seeing that. Though he showed in the last game again, Nikhil, what he can do. There is specialization, and then there is super specialization. Dinesh Karthik is our senior super specialist in the death overs, because that, even if he can do it in 1 out of 5 matches, is pure gold for the Indian team.
Absolutely. 41 not out of 19 balls at Taruba. Absolutely brilliant. 27 runs of the last 2 overs. You know, Dinesh Karthik, as you said, is a super specialist. You know, he struggled of the first 10 balls, but then last 2 overs, as I just mentioned, he went ballistic. And therefore, I think Dinesh Karthik has a foot in already in the 11, Maya. He has a foot in the 11 because he's done enough. He's playing a very crucial and very difficult role. You know, to come out and score 40 of 20 balls, strike rate of 200. Even if you can do it every 4 matches, you win your country. You win your country the match. I think it's good enough, which he did for RCB very consistently when the big 3 failed in IPL 2022. And now, if he can do it for India one more time in this series and then repeat it in the Asia Cup, I think he is through. If he is through, then the question is what happens with Rishabh Pant? This is the big question. Indian team is hell-bent on including Rishabh Pant in the 11. They opened with him twice in England, won 26 of 15 in one match, did not get off to a good start in the other. They haven't persisted with him. The first ODI, Surya Yadav surprisingly opened. I'm pretty much sure Pant will go back to opening today. But Pant, you know, the only way actually Pant can play in this 11 is in the opener slot along with Rohit Sharma, because 3 is Virat, 4 is Surya, 5 is Hardik Pandya, 6 is Ravindra Jadeja, 7th we are saying now is Dinesh Karthik. So where does Rishabh Pant play? He has to open. There is no other way. And it could end up to be a potential masterstroke if India, you know, at least gives him 4 to 5 matches continuously. Which they are not, which is surprising.
Also, let's talk about Shreyas Iyer. One thing is clear in the team management that we've seen is that he is now being seen at number 3 above Deepak Hooda. ODIs, of course, we knew that he would be there, but even in T20Is, what we're seeing is that they are very involved in Shreyas Iyer. They want, and I think that's also something that Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid have spoken about, where they're going to give a longer rope to players, you know, to make them feel comfortable. Dinesh Karthik spoke about it, the kind of security he feels. And I feel like similar situation for Shreyas Iyer, because he hasn't been doing well, but they've stuck with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a little confused with the format. Shreyas Iyer did well in the ODI leg against the West Indies. So therefore, they've given him a chance in the T20I. I mean, they're 2 completely different formats which require completely different skill sets. How does Shreyas Iyer fit in at number 3? I don't understand, Maya, because firstly, you've already announced that Virat Kohli is in that place is reserved for Virat Kohli. If not Virat Kohli, Deepak Hooda has done everything possible, starting from Shahid Mushtaq, Vijay Hazare Trophy, IPL 2022. Then in his limited opportunities for India, he's even scored 100. So he also gives you some useful overs with his off spin. So why would you not give an informed Deepak Hooda the number 3 position if for some reason Virat Kohli does not play? Why are you hell-bent on playing Shreyas Iyer? Shreyas Iyer is not a bad player, but Shreyas Iyer's direct competition was with Surya Yadav for the number 4 slot. And Surya is just better in every department. Surya is just better. So therefore, Shreyas Iyer doesn't fit into the 11 at least. Maybe he fits into the 15 or 16, but he doesn't fit into the 11. I don't know why they are persisting with him, given his problems with fast bowling, given his problems with short pitch bowling. Remember, the World T20 is in Australia. They are going to dig it short every 2 balls.
Yeah, that's true. It's surprising though, now that you make that point, and I find that strange, because it was very clear with the way Deepak Hooda was batting. And in fact, one of the reasons why there were calls for Virat Kohli to sit out in place of Deepak Hooda, because of how well Deepak Hooda was batting. We saw that 100 against Ireland from Deepak Hooda, and we've seen what he's been doing every time he's been given the opportunity. But Shreyas Iyer was never in the picture for the T20Is though. In this series, in the first match, they went with Shreyas Iyer. Will they continue? That's something we'll have to watch out for today. But let's also move on to another specialist that India wants to invest in. And I think with this series, it'll be clear whether Arshtiv Singh is going to be on that flight to Australia in October. What he's done so far is that he said, look, I'm not just a left-arm bowler, I'm a very good bowler. I can get you 2 overs in the power plays, get you wickets. You know, I can be very, very accurate with my bowling there. And then in the death, we all know what Arshdeep Singh can do. And so I think India really wants to take him to Australia.
Absolutely, Maya. And as you said, you started the show by saying, T20 format is increasingly becoming a format of specialists, phase-wise specialists.
Yeah.
So therefore, you have a Dinesh Karthik who will only be sent out between over 16 to 20. He's rarely sent out before over 16. Even if, you know, even if the other batting has collapsed, India sends in Jadeja ahead of him. They want to only send Dinesh Karthik between overs 16 to 20. Similarly, Arshtiv Singh is a specialist in the death overs who's done brilliantly over his T20 career, especially in this IPL, the second most restrictive bowler after Bumrah in this IPL. Overall in T20, he has an amazing economy rate. The limited opportunities got for India is done very well. Look what he did in the first T20I. He was excellent in the power play. The way he got out Kyle Mayers with that slow bouncer outside the off stump, deliberately bowled a little wide, and the batsman was completely foxed. And then again in the death overs, he got the Yorker to get rid of the batsman. So, you know, he knows what he's doing. There's a method. He's not only a left armer who brings variety, but he's a specialist not only now in the death overs, but also he's using his head in the power play.
I think he had one of the best economies in the death overs in this season of IPL.
Yes,
That's
after Bumrah. Yes,
after Bumrah, he was exceptional with the way he was bowling, and we saw that even in the first T20. We saw that even with that wide Kookaburra, the kind of swing that he got along with Bhuvneshwar Kumar against, I think, the one T20 international that he played against England. But what can we expect in Basseterre? Now, if it was Tarouba in the first game, this is Warner Park in Basseterre, and chasing is an advantage here, Nikhil. So take us through what can be expected, what will teams look to do?
I mean, unlike Tarouba, which had not hosted any men's T20 international, Basseterre has hosted, you know, number of matches since I think 2008. Chasing remains a big advantage. 6 out of 10 matches have been won by the team chasing. Although it still remains a low scoring, you know, venue. Average score batting first in the last 8 matches is just 131. I'm definitely sure if India bats first, that will be crossed. I cannot say the same for the West Indies. West Indies, although West Indies have a good record here, they have won 6 of the 10 matches they have played here. The highest team total is 182 for 6 by England. I think the highest team total for the West Indies is, I think, 144 or something thereabout. So also, unlike Tarouba, this pitch assists pacers more. They've taken 71 wickets here in 10 matches at an average of 17. There is no rain expected. So it's going to, I think if West Indies bat first, I mean, they should at least get 160 against the lineup. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem against the Indian batting lineup. India bats first. I think anything above 170, I mean, anything above 160, we saw what happened in the first match. I think they'll steamroll over the West Indies.
I think the other thing also is, Nikhil, given that fast bowlers have an advantage here, do you believe that India will get Harshal Patel back in place of one of the spinners? That's another thing where you go to West Indies and you end up judging the pitch better there than Nicholas Pooran, who went in with one spinner in the last game, and clearly it was the spinners who, who troubled the West Indian batsmen. Akhil Hussain also bowled really well, but it was the 3 Indian spinners, 5 wickets among them, and it's surprising. So I wonder whether India will go in with Harshal Patel today, or what the team would be like.
I think they'll play Harshal over, one of the spinners. I think Jadeja will play. I think Ashwin will play. But I think, I think Harshal will also make the cut. So one of the spinners will miss out.
Okay, that's it then that's it then on this special. That is the likely playing 11. We just saw over there. But Harshal Patel likely to come into the side in place of one of the spinners. But it was also a good game for Ravichandran Ashwin, making a comeback after a while. There was, of course, this talk about, do we really need Ravichandran Ashwin in the T20 format? Does he fit into this team? Well, he showed that if he's given an opportunity, he does, and he got the wicket of 2 most crucial batsmen in the last game for India of Shimron Hetmyer and Nicholas Pooran. So that's India's likely playing 11. And let's also take a look at the West Indies playing 11. Shimron Hetmyer, more was expected from him, and we know what they can do. The thing is, when you look at this West Indies side, Nikhil, what stands out is that this is a team that can beat any other team on a given day, right? Look at the power hitters here, but somehow they are not getting things right, and somewhere that inexperience also shows in this West Indies side. I mean, we saw what they could do when Chris Gayle was around. So you see that inexperience, and that's not working in their favour.
I mean, that's been the story of West Indies cricket and T20 cricket. I mean, they can score 250 on a given day, but you know, they can also score 45, which is the lowest score on this venue, which by the West Indies. So you know, that's their cricket. This format suits them. Today it might be a different day. They have the power hitters. It's you know, they bat deep. Romario Shepherd. They have some fine bowlers, but you know, it's just West Indies cricket. I mean, it's, you know, it's hot and cold, it's in extremes, and that's been their problem for the last almost 2 decades now.
Okay, then that's it. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much, Nikhil. News9 Sports is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest from the world of sports. We'll also be back at 6 p.m. And analyze the day's play at the Commonwealth Games. Remember, India's created history. India's women's lawn bowl team, they have reached the final for the very first time in the history of the sport. So big news coming from Commonwealth Games. We'll get you all the latest from that. News9 Sports is what you need to subscribe to. You will get the latest updates, analysis, players interviews, and a lot more right there. That's it from both of us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.